Good afternoon and welcome to our first class. My name is Melinda Schneider and I'm your instructor. Before class starts and before every class starts, you'll need to do a setup and check your audio and video. The way to do this is to click in the bottom right of the screen where the purple tab is. Click on the My Settings icon, which is the little icon that looks like a gear. Then click on Set up your camera and microphone. After that, you'll follow the prompts. It'll show you how to make sure your microphone and video camera are working. If you are still having problems with your audio, one thing I've tried is just restarting your computer. Another issue could be your headphones. Make sure that the mute button is not on and that you have the volume set at the right level. There are two other icons that you will use in that panel. The first is the chat, which is the balloon, and you use that to answer questions and leave comments. The second icon is the attendees panel, and this shows you everyone that is attending the web conference. So before we start class, make sure you are relaxed. I want you to enjoy the class, and please remember to turn off your cell phone and any other phones you may have in your area. Eliminate distractions. When you put the dog outside, close the door. Make sure that nothing will interrupt you during class. We'll always do a quality check every class. Normally I'll ask you if the red recording button is on in the top left corner, if you can hear me okay, and if there's quality check on the top of the slide. Since this is a recorded session, I'm going to do the quality check for myself. So my audio is on, the red light is on, and my slide does say quality check at the top. So since this is a recorded class, I'm going to be asking you to complete some activities, and you'll be submitting your responses in Pilot, in different areas of Pilot, and it'll tell you on each slide where they need to be posted. So it'll be handy for you to have either a piece of paper and a pen or pencil next to you, or you could open a Word document to record your answers, and then you could copy and paste those into Pilot after you're done with the full recording. So the main subject of this class is thinking collaboratively. Again, my name is Melinda Schneider, and today we're going to be looking at Chapter 1. It is our first class, and the date is January 15th, 2019. The learning objectives for this class will be that after this web conference, you'll be able to define what is meant by thinking collaboratively and also explain why it is important. Describe at least two significant developments that have occurred in our society that make thinking collaboratively necessary. Explain why critical thinking involves more than just reflection and why the context of the situation needs to be considered. And you'll be able to explain the history of thinking and learning collaboratively. We're going to start off with the little icebreaker. Since we're not all present here on the conference, I'd like for you to pause the video, write down your name, your occupation, and one unusual or unique fact that you'd like to share about yourself. After you finish watching the full recording, you'll post your answers in Pilot. It'll be on the Communication tab under your name in the Discussions area. While you're there, you can also read the posts of your classmates, so you'll be able to get to know them a little bit better also. So the book we use for our class is called Thinking Collaboratively, Learning in a Community of Inquiry. It's written by D. Randy Garrison. And again, we're starting with Chapter 1, which is an introductory to thinking collaboratively. Let's talk about what is thinking collaboratively. One way you can think about it, or I think about it, is shared thinking and learning. The goal of thinking collaboratively is for you to be able to explore and make sense of your conflicting thoughts, be able to figure out complicated situations using discussion and deliberation. Why do you think thinking collaboratively is important? There are a few reasons. Thinking collaboratively helps you improve some of your skills, problem solving, communication, and critical thinking. Obviously, thinking and learning is most times more productive when it's done with others. Thinking collaboratively makes meaningful learning happen, and it lets you explore, examine, and discuss your thoughts and ideas with others. So I'm going to have you pause the video again and click on the chat icon, which again, it looks like the balloon. I'm going to paste a URL so that you can watch a short video about collaboration. You should see the video in the chat box now. If you have any problems with the link, you can copy and paste the link below into a separate web browser and watch it on that web browser. So for our first activity, I'm going to have you pause the recording and think about a time when you have worked collaboratively in a group, either at a job or to complete a task, maybe to solve a problem. And I want you to answer the following questions, either writing them down or typing them on your Word document. First one is, did everyone in the group have similar ideas and views? Number two, how were different ideas or solutions resolved in the group? And three, did you find value in working with the group to accomplish the task or find a solution? After you watch the rest of this recording, you'll post your answers in Pilot in the drop box labeled Group Activity. So let's talk about where the idea of thinking collaboratively started. D. Randy Garrison, who is the author of our book, has done more than a decade of research on the subject. He states that thinking is not solely a personal or isolated activity, which most people think you're thinking you're by yourself. So you're isolated and it's just you. However, he says in our high technology interconnected society that we need to develop thought processes to help us understand and learn all the information we're bombarded with every day. Why do we need to think collaboratively? Well, the main reason is your thinking, whether you realize it or not, is affected by everything you see, hear, learn every day, the people you talk to. Thinking collaboratively helps you sort of digest and make sense of all this information. It also helps you develop critical thinking skills. So now pause the recording, and I want you to think of 2 or 3 ways maybe instructors can develop and promote critical thinking skills in their courses. Maybe using group activities or some other activities. After you're finished with the whole recording, you'll post your responses in Pilot on the assessment tab in a drop box called Critical Thinking. So why should you care about thinking collaboratively? Why are we have a class on this? Why are we learning about this? Well, there are advantages of thinking collaboratively, and they're very evident when you think about medicine and science. Think about breakthroughs that have happened in labs or cures that have been found in laboratories at hospitals. Google and Facebook were developed through collaborative thinking. Think about how we are constantly connected to other people and information through technology, through our computers, through our phones. We need to be able to disseminate and figure out fact from fiction. And there are benefits of thinking collaboratively. How do you know when you're thinking about something or what you believe is actually sound unless you question it, explore it, talk to other people, or explore other possibilities? Thinking collaboratively encourages innovation, creativity, inquiry, and teamwork. In contrast, solo thinking alienates others and may cause you to have faulty decision-making, kind of like the fish in the picture. For this next activity, I'm going to have you pause the recording and then answer the following questions. How could thinking collaboratively benefit you in your current job? What can you do immediately to start thinking collaboratively? And number 3, what are some pitfalls of not being a collaborative thinker? When you're finished with this recording, post your responses in Pilot on the Assessment tab under the drop box name Thinking Collaboratively. So to summarize what we've talked about today, the main goal of thinking collaboratively is for an individual to be able to think about their ideas and ideas that conflict with their ideas, challenge other people's ideas that conflict with theirs, and to develop communication skills, problem-solving skills, and critical thinking skills. Almost always, thinking and learning is more constructive and more fruitful when you do it with other people, when it's done in a group setting and collaboratively. And critical thinking should include discussion with other people, not just in your own mind, and it should challenge your own ideas and thoughts. So our last activity for this web conference is a quiz. You don't need to pause the video because you're going to log onto Pilot when you're done. Go to the Assessment tab, and under Quizzes and Exams, you'll complete the quiz for Chapter 1. This will give me some idea of what you've learned today and whether I need to go over any of the important ideas again or present them maybe in a different way. Make sure you complete the quiz before midnight on Wednesday, January 26th. Here are some reminders for you. Our next class is on Tuesday, January 29th. Don't forget to post your icebreaker and activity responses in Pilot. Make sure you post them in the appropriate areas also. Don't forget to take the quiz in Pilot. And all of these things are due by January 16th, tomorrow, at midnight. If you have questions, comments, you need help, please email me through Pilot under the Communications tab under Email. You can also submit questions that can be seen by your other classmates in Pilot, also on the Communications tab under Discussions. I hope you have a good evening, and I will talk to you next class. We'll have an actual class together, so it'll be nice to actually talk to you. Have a good evening.